Well, hello there, YouTube. My name is Tony, and this is TonyLiveTV. Thanks for clicking on the video. I've tried to do this intro at least a dozen times, and I get stuck because I don't know what I want to say. This is such a significant video for me. You know, maybe, well, I think it is for you too. Anyone who's been following me, and by the way, you know, thanks for subscribing and everything. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your support. But 3 years has gone by since I started rebuilding this engine. And now the results of 3 years is going to end up in an oil filter. And because of that, I don't even know what to say, because I know the results of all this. And when I tried to do this intro, I don't know what to say, because I want to let you know that, you know, there's people have been saying, hey, Tony, you know, you still want to sell your car, you know, now that it's running, you know, everything's running. And I said, you know, hey, I'll take offers, right, in the very beginning. Yeah. Well, guess what? I'm still taking offers. But now those offers is based on these results. So entertain me with an offer. All right? After watching this video, stick around all the way to the end. And then you can decide if you want to own this 560. So without further ado, I think I should just pick up right where I left off in the last video, because when you want to do this, you want to do it right after the break-in. You want to do it when the engine's still warm. Matter of fact, every time you change your oil, you should do it when it's warm, right? Heat it up, bring it up to operating temperature, let it cool down enough to where you can get your hand on the stuff, and then drain your oil. And that is exactly what I did here. And now you've noticed it's a week later, and I'm just doing the intro. Like I said, I didn't know what to say. I really didn't know what to say. So I'm just gonna let this video say what I'm unable to say right now. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, so I think I've got everything cooled down enough to where I can actually change the oil. To change the oil, you're gonna need a 14mm hex. It's quite hot, so I wanna make sure I don't burn myself. I didn't. It's quite hot though. I will say that. I'll put this right there. We'll let that drain. All right, this is a 17mm. All right, so this is the filter. I'll dump this out in a minute, and we'll take a look at that as well. The oil looks pretty clean. Nothing in the bottom of that. That's pretty much what it looked like when I started. Well, this oil looks really clean. I don't see anything in it. Well, this is it. I'm not seeing anything. I'm going to cut this thing open and peel it. Right now, I don't see anything at all. I mean, nothing. I thought I would see something. Let's look at a little bit at a time. There's one little black thing, but I wouldn't say that that's metal. It's probably ATV. It's nothing. I mean, this is clean. A little bit more of that little ATV. It's black. I did find one right there, looking through that. There is one. Do you see it? It's one little thing right there. But that's nothing. Nothing in here. This is just, that's not metal. Just a little bit of dirt, I guess. No metal, no shavings anywhere around here, no dust, nothing. One small piece, nothing else in there. I mean, that's expected. That part's expected. That little black thing. It's not metal. Just a couple of these little black pieces in there. But other than that, I would say that this was a really good build. There we go. There's a little, oh, no, that's like a hair. So that's not anything to worry about. Man, there's just nothing in here. Hardly anything. I mean, there's a couple small pieces here. Here's a piece. Is it magnetic? No. It's not magnetic. Just a little bit of a black thing. Looks like ATV to me. Feels like it. Well, that is perfect. I mean, you can look at this other side too if you want. But you can tell. Oh, man, that's a good break-in right there. Man, I've been watching other guys on the net when they're doing their build, and I'll tell you what, this is the cleanest one I've seen. And a couple of these little black things in here too. But you know, when I push on it, you know, it doesn't break, but it bends. It's not metal. Just some debris that was left behind. See that little black thing? As far as the little bit of metal, there's a little bit. That's what a speck of metal, which is, let's see, can you see it? No, you can't even see it. It's so small. It is so small, I just see a reflection of it. See it? There it is. Now you can see it. But otherwise, you know, it's got a couple of these black pieces right there. It's pretty clear. All right, so let's talk about putting oil back into the vehicle. So the first thing you're going to need, at least how I do it, is a 1 gallon, you know, plastic Ziploc bag. You're going to say, geez, why do I need that? When I first started this project, I mentioned that you should fill this with oil. And people said, geez, how do you fill that with oil? It's going to get everywhere and, you know, it leaks and all that kind of stuff. Well, how I do it is I just get this bag like this and I set it in the bag. All right. You remember when I took this thing off, it wasn't like just dripping out of the bottom. Most everything came out of the top as it spilled over the top. Because it kind of has a seal. It's not perfect, but there's a seal. So as long as that seal is there, you go ahead and fill this up. Put your filter inside there, right? Put your filter in, and then fill it up in the center tube here until you get it up there. Lubricate your O-ring. Put it up. You can still twist your nut from the bottom to get it up there and snugged up, so there's no problem. And then, so what? Then you have a little bit of a dirty bag and you come over here and wipe this all off. But you know what? You've got a whole quart of oil sitting in here rather than running this dry, because this is the first thing that happens. So that's how I've always done it in every vehicle that I've owned since day one. If it had a filter that was coming from underneath, I would fill it. Of course, you're going to need a filter, and the filter will come with a kit. I bought a new one. Actually, I bought a couple of them, so this is just one of them. They're split, so be careful. If they're split and they're open, they're not any good anymore. If you need a new nut, that's the part number for that nut, so let's get started. This is the oil that I'll be using for the first 3,000 miles of this vehicle. It is a good break-in oil. It's a very, very good oil. Nothing wrong with this oil. But after 3,000 miles, I'll go with AMSOIL. 1540 is what I'm running. Before I torque down the oil pan drain plug, I wanted to show you this document. And it says for the 107 that the oil drain plug is 50 Newton meters, and the bolt that holds the oil filter housing is 25 Newton. This one says if your oil drain plug is an M26, which ours is 50 Newton meters. But then it says for the 107 to attach that oil filter, it's 35 Newton meters. 35 Newton meters is what I used the last time. So I'm going to stick with 35. I say that that is the correct torque setting for this, is 50 and 35. There we go, guys. 50.1. Let's move on. This is how I do it. Didn't get that dirty at all, guys. Not at all. But that's the cleanest way to do it. I could have taken it off that way too, but I didn't. There we go. Now I'll wipe it off. All right, 35 Newton meters. You have to make sure that you have this thing nice and centered on there, which I did. And you can see I even put the logo facing this way. There it is. 35. Just a few more ounces. Check that. It should be just about right. Just about perfect. Well, now it's the next day. Nice and cool, and I wanted to remove all these spark plugs. If you notice, I have both my fingers around that wire. Don't pull on the wire. That's all I can say, is don't pull on the wire. I wish I had one of those special tools. You know, they're kind of like an angle plier, and they have an opening so you can grab a hold of your boot and pull it off. But I don't have one. You know, it's an investment that I haven't made. It's fairly inexpensive, but just haven't done it. So after pulling them all, I looked at them here, and they all look pretty close. And then this is my reference chart. I'm going to concentrate on that normal there, and this is plug number 1. You see how white that is, that electrode, that ceramic part? That's lean. This is just about perfect. So number 1 was lean, number 2 looked good, number 3 doesn't look bad. It's a little darker, but it still looks perfect. 4 looks really good. 5 looks excellent. 6 looks great. 7's great, again. And finally 8 is perfect. I mean, how can you complain about that? So after comparing them and looking at them closely, I went ahead and checked the gap, made sure that the gaps were good, and they are. That's 0.032. And I use these tips. I keep them so I can put that hose on there and then put a little dab of anti-seize on the tip. And with that vacuum hose, it's pretty easy. I set my torque to 23 Newton meters and I torqued all of them down. But I found something along the way, and that is the mixture control unit and the air guide. Those 2 bolts right there, well, they were loose. They were actually not tight at all. So they weren't too difficult to get there on the passenger side. Those 2 I tightened up quite easily. Unfortunately, on the other side, we have a fuel pressure regulator sitting at the bottom and all the garbage. So I ended up having to remove the fuel pressure regulator in order to get to that stupid nut, or bolt, I should say. You have to remove the bracket, you need to remove the hose, you know, the whole 10 yards, and eventually you'll get it out of there, and there it is. And you can see that is not tight at all. So I eventually got that tight. It wasn't too difficult. And now, since it's the next day and it's nice and cool, I say, let's go ahead and try to start this. See what it is with a cold start. Let's try it. I gotta turn on my little fan here because, you know, my car's on jacks. My idea with the other thing didn't work. Now I'm hanging out, right? I'm not stepping on the gas or anything. We'll just see how it all works out. You should be able to see everything that you need to see. Well, let's give it a shot. Ooh, baby, this started right up. Let's take a look. Boy, look how nice. Is that beautiful or what? That's what it is right now. It's cold. I have an open loop. And unfortunately, it's going to stay in open loop because I think the O2 sensor is bad. That's something I might test in a future video. Well, there you guys go. That's a brand new 1987 560 SL, or should I say at least M117, and transmission, differential, I did that too. 80.1. Can tell or not. I mean, you know, I don't have a bonnet on here or hood, whatever you want to call it. This thing's quiet. It's quieter than my Toyota. That thing. It's quieter. It really is. It's super quiet. I mean, I'm wearing a mic and I'm standing right here. And it sounds super, super smooth. We know mechanically everything's great, right? We just looked at that oil filter. That thing is beautiful. The oil that came out of here is glitter free. No diamond dust whatsoever. In my opinion, this is very, very good. So now it's fully warmed up and you see where it ends up? So there's a little activity. It knows when it's warmed up, but that number's not right. Well, that's it. You know, there it is. Yeah, that's for sale. Why not? You know, I'll entertain all offers. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Come on, bring a trailer. You buy it, that 1987 for $250,000 last March. Low mileage, right? Maybe it had a couple of hundred, a couple thousand miles, all it had. But it's been sitting that whole entire time. Guess what you got to do? Yeah, you got to do what I just did. Maybe not the entire engine, but you're going to have to change it all. You're going to have to pull everything apart and put it all back together. It's all done. You guys can just enjoy it. All right. I think that's it for this video, guys. Catch you on the next one.